Welcome back, everyone. I am also welcoming back Kirk Martin. He is the founder of CelebrateCalm.com, as well as the producer of Calm Parenting podcast. And hopefully you heard our first interview, but if not, we've got more. So welcome back, Kirk.
Hey, it's good to be back, Dori.
So I really want to pick your brain on a lot of things. One of the first things is just how important is it that parents actually start to deal with their kids' big emotions from early on? Can we just leave it alone for a while?
I wouldn't leave it alone for a while, no, because look, for me, the big emotions are actually opportunities, right? When that child is melting down or enraged or whatever the big emotion is, it's an opportunity to actually teach them in that moment when they're excitable, look, it can either go to escalation because we can't handle it, or you need to calm down right now, young man, send them away from us, or we can use it as a way to actually bond with our kids, right? So quick example, hopefully, child's in the kitchen yelling at his mom. Dad comes in. I have one of two options. My typical one I did when my son was young was, hey, how many times do I have to tell you, you're not supposed to yell at your mother? If you keep that up, you're going to lose everything you own. In fact, go to your room right now. And then there was all kinds of personal things that get said when we're upset. So my son was upset, big emotions. Then I came in with big emotions, and that triggered even bigger emotions with he and I. And we were then separated and nothing really got solved. And so what I learned was, here's a really good phrase: motion changes emotion. Motion or movement is a tool we use to help kids actually calm down, because just using a lot of words tends to make kids more upset, right? Even saying, honey, do you want to identify your emotions? Sometimes that can be counterproductive because the kids don't even know what their emotions are. I'm just frustrated, I'm anxious, and I'm overwhelmed, and I don't know what it is. And you want me to identify. Sometimes what I learned is when I went in and said, hey, Case, I can tell that you're really frustrated right now, because it was pretty obvious when he's screaming at my wife, he's frustrated about something. Listen, I'm going to go outside. Got a football. I'm going to go outside, or I'm going to go in the living room, dump some Legos out. When you're ready, if you want to come in and build a really cool spaceship, I'd love to help you with that. I'd love to listen to you. So watch the process. I'm going in and I'm identifying, I'm acknowledging you're really frustrated. I'm not saying he's handling it the right way, but I'm acknowledging I can tell something's going on here, and I'm not going to react to it. I'm going to invite you to a different place, right? And it could be a million different things. If your child likes soccer, it's like, hey, you're going to grab the soccer ball. You want to come outside when you're ready. The when you're ready phrase is really important because it gives some measure of ownership to the child in the moment, rather than you need to get outside right now, or you need to come in the living room. We're going to talk about your attitude, right? Because no child's like, okay, can't wait for you to yell at me because I'm yelling at mom. So when I'm inviting him someplace else, we're changing the entire environment. It's giving me a chance to move. It's inviting him in. And now we can get to the root, because after we play catch, after we build with Legos, by the way, no eye contact during this time. When kids have big emotions, sometimes I don't do eye contact, because when they have big emotions and they say things that are wrong or inappropriate or disrespectful, then they feel ashamed. And so for me to look them in the eyes right then is to magnify the shame inside. So when I'm building with Legos, I'm like, hey, give me a red one. Let's do, hey, good job. I like how you're doing that. Now we're de-escalating so that I'm in a good, calm, rational place. Child's in a calm, rational place. And I'm not drilling them of what were you thinking, talking to your mother like that. Instead, I can say, hey, that thing back in the kitchen, I can tell you're frustrated. I'm curious. And I love that phrase, I'm curious. I'm curious what's going on, right? Like what's going on that would lead you to do something that causes you to lose all of your privileges. I'm curious because I want to help with that. And so that creates a much better, less defensive response. I'm inviting him. And what I would usually hear is, Dad, I get really frustrated at school. And by the end of the day, I'm really tired. And when I get home, Mom wants me to get my homework out and she stands over me. And I'm like, okay, so you're frustrated with school and then you take that out on Mom. Okay, see, now I know what I'm dealing with. And now we can problem solve and say, well, what can we do to reduce your frustration at school? And when you come home, what can we do differently to burn off some of that frustration, which when he was little was give him a treasure hunt to do, right? First thing is like, hey, I hid something in the backyard. I hid a snack. Bet you can't find it in the next 7 minutes. Kids love treasure hunts. He comes home from school. Now he gets to be outside in fresh air, look for something, solve a problem, get a snack. And now dad and son or mom and son or daughter, whoever it is, can sit outside and talk about the day and let the child vent a little bit. And now, and I'm sorry for going so long, but now I've built trust because now my child knows you can handle me when I've had a bad day. And now it's safe for me to come home and say, Mom, I'm really frustrated. Can we not talk about homework first thing? Because now I've built that trust. And hopefully that makes sense.
No, that is awesome. I'm thinking through it because you're basically finding what the issue is. You're allowing them to move around and dismiss some of that anxiety or the stress that they're feeling for coming home from school. And then you're turning around and you're making it an environment that is relaxing and enjoyable for them instead of just asking straight out what we all do, unfortunately, how was school today? And all. So yeah, it's awesome.
I think another thing that I don't want to forget is I can then at the end of that say, hey, you know what you need to do now, right? Which is go and apologize to your mom.
Yes.
So we still hit that, we still get the discipline of you need to go apologize to your mom. But I think most of you as parents have found out once you de-escalate and your child is back in a calm place, they tend to do the right thing. It's just in the moment you're like, we usually are like, you need to apologize right now. And that's when we're like, no. And then they double down. But after we've solved the problem, you usually don't even have to ask them to do it because they know the right thing to do then is to go and say, Mom, I'm sorry I yelled at you. I was just frustrated about school. Can we have a different tradition? I like traditions and routines. Can we have a different tradition after school so that the first thing we do isn't jump into homework, right? And now that you're teaching your child how to problem solve. Like you're basically saying the rest of your life, you are going to be disappointed and frustrated every single day because life is filled with disappointment and irritating, frustrating people. And you're probably going to marry an irritating person, and then you're going to have kids and they're going to be irritating because everybody's irritating at times. And so the key to life is being able to handle the frustration that comes with bad traffic or a bad economy or someone in charge that you don't like. That's just going to happen. And so from a young age, if I can begin to teach them, no, we're just going to problem solve because no, that didn't go your way. In the previous interview, we said that, of course you're disappointed. It didn't go your way. So what are we going to do now with that instead of making it worse?
Yeah. And you're basically, I think you're also allowing the child to have their emotions for a time and the parent's not responsible for them. They're not trying to make their child happy in the middle of something that's not resolved in the child's mind.
Oh, that is huge. That is such a great point. Part of our philosophy is the only person in life that you can control is yourself. And the quickest way to change your child's behavior is to first control your own. And it's a big trap for parents to think, well, my child's not happy. Or, I need to lecture them because they're not being grateful. Do you want someone coming behind you every day and saying, honey, you just need to be grateful? And you're like, ugh, I'm not grateful for you right now, right? Like it's too much pressure put on, right? We do that to our spouses a lot, of thinking, well, my job is to make my spouse happy. Well, now my spouse is not happy. And so now I start to try to fix my spouse, fix their emotions, rather than giving them space to deal with their own emotions. Because it's not my job to make you happy. It's your job to be happy. I can help you. I can do kind things for you, but I can't make you happy. And I think all moms have found this. In the course of trying to make everyone else happy, you make yourself and everybody else miserable. Because whenever you try to control the emotions or mood of another human being, it causes them to shut down or resist, and then it creates more frustration. And so getting comfortable with, look, even at times, Dori, with my son, I'd say, I'm completely comfortable with you being mad or angry at me. I'm comfortable with that. I don't need you to like me. I don't need you to be happy right now. In fact, if I were you, I would be disappointed because I'm not letting you do what you want to do. So if you're angry at me, I'm comfortable with that. And that's normal. And that alone usually takes away a lot of the tension, because you've normalized, I'm the parent, I say no to certain things, and then you're not going to like it. We have this false expectation that we're going to say no to our kids, and they're like, Mom, thank you so much for having wisdom and putting boundaries on my life and saying no, because I know in the long run, it's going to really help. Of course, they're not going to like it when you say no to that dessert or grabbing whatever it is in the grocery store. Let go of that false expectation that kids are supposed to say, yes, of course, mommy. Of course, they're going to fight a little bit. And of course, they're going to pout and they're going to whine and they're going to have a tantrum in the middle of the floor. I expect that. I don't like it, and I'm not going to give in to it. But when that child in the middle of aisle 3 at the grocery store is rolling around on the floor, you don't have to freak out and get embarrassed because everybody else is judging you. Instead, when I stay calm and I look at them like, look, you can roll on the floor if you want. It's not going to get you those fruit snacks, but I could use your help in aisle 5 because there's something really high that I can't reach. And if you want to get that, or really low, if you want to help me find that, oh, I'd love your help. But if you just want to roll on the floor, I'm completely okay with that. I'm just letting you know that will not get you to change my behavior. And then you're just going to have to, tell other people who are walking down the aisle, like, I don't know whose kid this is. Right. So I'm just kidding. But that is so liberating in your home when you don't have to fix and control everybody else's moods and emotions. It lets the weight off of you of like, you own your emotions. I'll give you tools to help you deal with your frustration, but I'm not going to make everything better for you, because that's just creating a monster, over the long run.
Yeah. And the kids will never learn how to even handle their emotions because you're trying to fix it for them.
Yes, I used to, at our live presentations, I used to start with an example, and I don't do it anymore so much, of how when Casey was little, I would disappoint him on purpose. Like I'd intentionally say no to something. And it was for 2 reasons. One was to teach him early on, like, this is just a fact of life. Mick Jagger was right. You can't always get what you want, right? The Rolling Stones had one thing right there. And then the other part of it was disciplining myself to know it's okay for me to say no. And it's okay that my child is not happy with me because of my choice, because I'm the parent. And my job is to do what is best for my child, even if it's inconvenient in the moment. Even if my teenager isn't going to talk to me for a couple days because they're giving me the silent treatment because I wouldn't let them go to that sleepover, that party. And now they're just giving me the cold shoulder. And instead of saying, I'm really just trying to be a good parent, right? Then we get snotty. And then it makes it worse. Instead of having some quiet confidence, knowing my daughter's disappointed because I wouldn't let her do something. And that's what a 13-year-old girl should be doing, not saying, Mom, I just know that you're very wise and you're just doing it to protect me. No, she thinks that I'm an idiot. And then I'm the meanest parent, and all the other parents' kids, let them do whatever. And I don't have to justify it. I'm just quietly confident knowing that in the end, my child will respect me because I was consistent and I didn't berate them. I just quietly said, no, that's just not happening, honey.
No, that's amazing. That's such good advice that if parents can just take a hold of that early on, it's going to prevent that 13-year-old from attacking, right?
I think it won't prevent it all, because a 13-year-old is going to be a 13-year-old. But if you have always given in, by the time you get to 13 and they don't know what no is, or you've always lectured and you haven't been kind of quietly confident, yes, you're setting up teen years. If you don't do it when they're young, the teen years will be extraordinarily difficult. So for all the parents of young kids, sit down, say no, let them have their little tantrum until they finally figure out, me throwing myself on the floor does not get me what I want. Because the whole reason little kids throw tantrums is because it works. Like they're smart. They know, when I do this, Dad gives in and says, fine, just be quiet. And then they learn, well, you just taught me that I can manipulate your emotions. So why would I not do that? And if you're a married couple, sit down together and say no together so they can't come between you, right? Because they'll do that of like, well, Mom said no, but maybe I'll work on Dad. And that's when you have to be aligned. Or if you're a single mom or single dad, which is really tough too, I just sit down and I just let them know, feel free to be disappointed. If you want me to help you with your disappointment, I'll help you with that. But if you think I'm going to change my mind just because you're getting really upset, it doesn't work that way. But we can problem solve. We can, if you want to talk to me like an adult, even when they're 4, I'd use that tone. Look, if you want to talk to me like an adult, I'll listen to you. But it doesn't mean I'm going to give in, but I will listen to you and we can problem solve together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, if parents want more information from you, I know you have your podcast. How often is that out?
We usually do 1 or 2 episodes a week. I think there are about 250 episodes now.
Wow.
So if you just look up the Calm Parenting Podcast, there's things for little kids, for teenagers, different topics for us as parents. And or reach out to us at celebratecalm.com. You can email us and we'll be glad to help with whatever you're struggling with.
Kirk, you are just amazing. I appreciate all of your time. I appreciate your heart for kids and parents. And I just feel very fortunate to be able to have talked to you about this today.
No, this was awesome. I love sharing it. Thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you. And we'll include all of Kirk's resources links in the email. Bye-bye.
See you, Dori.